Hello, I'm State Senator Hoon-Yung Hopgood, and welcome to another edition of the Hopgood Hour, my monthly cable news show that brings the people of the 8th District news and views from Lansing. As always, please feel free to contact my office with any questions or concerns that you may have regarding state government. As always, you can give me a phone call, write our office, or send us an email. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Ms. Angela Branch, a departmental analyst with the Michigan Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division, and we're going to be talking about consumer protection. Welcome to the show, and thank you for appearing today. And could you just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, Senator Hopgood, thank you for having me here. I've been with the department for 10 years now, and I've been in several roles, from community relations to departmental analyst. And along the way, my passion for trying to help people clearly led me to the Consumer Protection Division, where I could literally go out and be a part of educating the citizens of Michigan, which I thoroughly enjoy.
Well, I'm sure you'll have a lot of great information to share with the people of the 8th District. Could you tell us, what is the Consumer Protection Division? What is that?
The Consumer Protection Division actually investigates and mediates consumer complaints. Therefore, if an individual has an issue with a business that they can't get resolved on their own, they can literally file a complaint with our office.
What are some of the most common types of complaints that you see out there?
Actually, we get anything from individuals not being able to, or being victims of identity theft, or they think they've been scammed in other ways, maybe online. Robocalls is another one that we receive most often, and just I would say, maybe everyday issues that they might have with a business where maybe they can't get an issue resolved, depending on the type of work that maybe they've had done on their homes or what have you. So it really does vary, but there are a lot of calls that we get about scams or potential scams today.
So you see some kind of bad actors out there really trying to do harm to people, and then you see maybe misunderstandings or things like that, where the consumer thought one thing and then the business thought another thing, and
Yes.
You guys can play a role in terms of trying to
Yes.
smooth that out.
Yes, and again, our office acts as a mediator on the consumer's behalf, not as an attorney, but simply a mediator. So we will contact or deal with the business, and we will correspond with the business ourselves. And again, it's an individual that has an issue with a business when it comes to an actual complaint that we mediate.
So now, what happens with like a fraud or a scam? Will you try to contact the person in that case who's suspected of?
What we do is we conduct an investigation, is what we do. And upon our investigation, depending on what we find, our attorneys will then issue what's called a consumer alert. And consumer alerts are issued anywhere from 5 to 10 times a year. And what that consumer alert does is it lets the consumer or citizens within Michigan know about different scams that we found out about, that we've literally investigated. And so we're trying to forewarn the public about those scams so that they don't in fact become a victim.
Now, does your work in those instances, do they help the individual who has been scammed or taken advantage of? Does that work help them, I guess, get their issue addressed in the legal sense? I know that they would have to probably take the entity to court.
It would depend. It goes on a case-by-case basis. I can't just say, across the board, but it's on a case-by-case basis. We would look into an issue that they would have.
What are there certain products or industries that you most often run into or deal with or hear about?
Not in particular, it's kind of across the board. I mean, it really varies from debt collecting issues or scams to, again, robocall to identity theft.
Does the whole sort of online internet world, does that create complexities for
It does.
this?
It does. And, you know, as much as the internet is an awesome tool for all of us to be able to use, also there are a lot of criminals that can be that hide behind the screen too. So, and that does indeed create some issues. However, if an individual feels that they've been scammed over the internet, they can contact ic3.gov and file a complaint there.
Now, where does that go?
That's it goes to the federal government. So it's an agency that was a white collar crime agency and the federal government that have gotten together, and they created this particular unit specifically to address individuals who believe that they've been scammed online. And so then they can evaluate and then conduct those investigations accordingly.
What's the website again?
ic3.gov.
Okay. All right, great. So do you have any tips for the public how to avoid some of the scams, how to avoid getting into trouble? And you know, I know that some of the bad guys who are really trying to do bad things, not the misunderstandings or anything like that, but some of the people who are trying to harm people. They can be pretty sophisticated, and
Yes.
sometimes they're not, but
Yes.
but they can be pretty sophisticated. Do you have any sort of tips that you can share with
Absolutely. One of the things that I would definitely suggest that we do is to simply, if you receive a phone call from an individual or someone that states that they're from a bank or any agency, actually, I mean, if someone says you've just won a prize, for example, or they're trying to get personal information from you, whatever you do, don't give out your personal information either on the telephone, over the internet, or via letter if you have no idea, because you don't really know who you're dealing with. If I'm on the other end of the phone, you don't actually know that I'm from a specified bank that the person says that they're calling from. Or if I'm contacting you via the internet, you literally don't have any idea who I am. So if you don't give out your personal information, you're going to protect yourself better that way, clearly, by not giving out information
I
to
still
someone
get,
that you don't know.
I still get those emails saying,
Yes.
you know, I need help, or I need to send you a lot of money
Right.
for some
Right.
strange reason, and
Absolutely.
something that I have no idea about.
Right.
You know, so it's nothing that is even connected to me.
Right.
However, if it's something that you're connected to, like they're claiming to be your bank
Sure.
or something like that,
Sure.
it might be a little bit harder to.
Well, one of the things that I can say, Senator, is simply this. Your bank, the FBI, or the IRS is not going to contact us via online. First of all, for an example, there was an email that was a scam that supposedly came from a bank that all of us are familiar with right here in Michigan. And that particular email asked simply this. First, it stated, we want you to provide some personal information, and if you don't reply to this email within a specific amount of time, which was actually 3 days, it's literally stated that they were going to close out the accounts. And I actually personally received one of these emails, as well as thousands of others, I'm sure. And when you scroll down on the email, it clearly said the bank's name and company. But know that a bank is not going to ask for that information. Why? Because they already have it. Why would a bank or the IRS or FBI contact us to ask us for personal information? They already have our information. So know that when these criminals are trying to steal information or get information from us to steal our identities, and oftentimes that's what it's what their actual or ultimate goal is, they're going to use the name of a well-known business or agency or organization in order to get our attention in the first place. So these are some of the tactics that they will use online. And the other thing is, you mentioned earlier, what if I receive an email from someone that I know? Well, hackers hack into email addresses, and so then they are able to capture the person's contacts, and then they'll send out an email message as if it were actually you or I, and it'll state that this person is out of the country, or they've had an accident and they need your help to get back home because they've lost, their wallet or purse has been stolen. They have no way of getting back home. It's a scam. And one of the best things that you or I could do, what we could do, is simply try to contact the person by cell phone or call them at home. And in some instances, I don't know about you, Senator, but I've actually received an email message of that nature, and I just talked to my friend, or I just saw them a week ago, and know that they weren't ever even going on vacation. So the best thing for us to do, another best practice, is to do our homework before we respond.
I'm sure that the people who are putting those emails together are trying to they're trying to throw a big blanket out there and maybe get some people to respond, because not everyone is going to. Not everyone has thousands of dollars to send. Right. If that's the case, that whoever's asking for that kind of money, but for whatever reason, not everyone's going to respond. But they're trying to get a certain amount to make it profitable, I guess.
Absolutely.
I know one other, obviously, very reputable name that has been used is Medicare.
Yes.
And people calling people at their homes, claiming to be Medicare, and saying that they need personal information to send out a new benefits card.
Yes.
So that's another one. If Medicare is not calling people,
absolutely,
like some of those other folks that you mentioned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So. Can you tell us about your complaint process? Can you tell us what you do?
What happens is, when an individual, and let me back up, one of the things that is a must or that's required is that your complaint is a written complaint. So you can either go on our website at www.michigan.gov/AG and go to the complaint and click on that, and you can literally view the actual complaint online, and you can fill it out and submit it either that way, or you can print out the complaint form, fill it out in its entirety, and mail it in to us. So it must be written. The other thing, what happens also is, simply once we receive that complaint, we will then in turn send a message out, either online or a postcard, indicating that we have indeed received that complaint. Once we have evaluated it and determined if it's something that we actually handle or that must be submitted to another agency, we will then in turn send a letter to that particular business. We allow 30-day return time on that, and then we go from there. But we will always keep in contact with the person that has filed the complaint.
How would you keep in contact? I mean, would you send them emails, or?
We would either send them an email or we would send them a letter in the mail, depending on the way that they have filed the complaint. And then we would let them know the results of our mediation with that particular business, to let them know. And again, if it's not something that our office would handle, we would let them know the agency that it has to be forwarded to, and we would do that on their behalf. But we would definitely notify them either by email or by letter.
How many complaints do you receive?
Between complaints, Senator Hopgood, as well as inquiries, over 14,000 a year.
Okay, and that's what your office handles, and
Yes.
a lot of those you investigate, and some of
Yes.
those you send to other places.
Yes, exactly. So, and those are, the other interesting thing is, those are the people that know about our office. So we're trying to make sure that citizens are aware that our office is available to them once again if they have a complaint that they need to file against a business, an individual against a business, not a business against a business.
Do you have a sense of how the cases break down in terms of outcome? And I know you mentioned some of the things that will result, but do you have a sense of what is most likely to happen?
As far as, no, to be honest with you, I don't per se, because I don't actually process the complaints myself. I am more on the educational side of things, which is back to the best practices. Something else that we have that's available to citizens is a program that's called Senior Brigade, where we literally go out across the state and educate citizens on these various scams and schemes in hopes that they to prevent them from becoming victims of these various scams as well. And so we have 6 different topics. They're absolutely free, and it's something there's anyone that has a group of people gathered together to meet, whether it's at a church or whether it's a senior center or there's an art chapter or any place there are groups of people gathered together to meet, we will literally go on site and give free presentations to educate again on the specific topic. We will give things that people can do to prevent themselves from becoming victims, as well as letting them know what actions to take if in fact they are victimized.
Are those actual like Attorney General staff that goes out and
Yes,
does
that's
that?
a part of, under the umbrella of the Consumer Protection Division is our consumer programs teams, and we help develop those particular presentations.
Now, if you're a group out there that if someone's watching as a member of a group and is really interested in having this happen, how would they go about?
Senator, they can either go on www.michigan.gov/Senior Brigade, or they can call into our Consumer Protection Division number at 1-877-765-8688.
Can you repeat that?
I'm sorry, 1-877-765-8388. I apologize.
Okay.
So they can call that toll-free number or go online.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that people had a chance to write it down, because we want them to get the information and to be able to use it, certainly.
Absolutely.
I know that we've held town halls in the past, and some have focused on things like consumer protection, and we know that we've worked with your office in the past to do that as well. So I think it takes everyone to get the word out on some of these things. You guys can do your part, and certainly citizens can do their part by sharing information with people that they know out in the community. And obviously groups are a great way to do it, because then you share things amongst each other, and someone may have a question about a certain situation that they're not really sure about, but then they can talk to it amongst a group of people and get that feedback. So that's really good. Other than, and I think that you mentioned this a little bit, but other than your division, what other places would you go to resolve some of these issues? And I know that sometimes it's going to be your office that lets people know that, but what else can people do to?
Well, one of the other things that, oftentimes, when we're a victim of a scam, or we believe we're a victim of a scam, one of the things that sometimes we don't want to do, maybe because we're embarrassed that something's happened to us, is we need to make sure that we let someone else know. And one of the first agencies that we need to contact would be the police. Oftentimes, when we're victims of scams, we don't file police reports, and we need to try to make sure that we're filing the police reports. I think that that's extremely important, and oftentimes it doesn't happen. But also contact our office and also the Federal Trade Commission. They have a wealth of information on their website. Whether you're a victim of identity theft, they have a comprehensive guide called Take Charge. fighting back with identity theft. And so it's an excellent publication, but yes, we need to contact the Federal Trade Commission if we're a victim of identity theft. Contact the police. It is our right in Michigan to file a police report if we've been a victim of identity theft, and oftentimes people don't know that, or they don't exercise that right, and we need to exercise those rights, as well as contacting your office.
So the first step is contacting the police,
Yes.
and then contacting the Attorney General's
yes.
office, and we do have a consumer protection booklet that's available through our office,
Yes.
and we
Good.
have information about the Attorney Generals and about law enforcement
Yes.
agencies in different jurisdictions. So that's available through our office. We can mail out hard copies to people. Certainly, we have them available at different events and things like that. But we also have it online, so people can visit
Great.
my website and actually view it and download a
Yes.
copy online as well, and they can have all the information kind of at their fingertips and
Yes.
peruse it when they have a minute, or after something happened, they have that resource that's right there.
Right.
And I know that you have information on your website as well that people should take advantage of it if they can. Now, every once in a while, you hear about the Attorney General being involved in legal action, on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan. Can you tell me how that works?
There's a lot of things that go on in the background, and I can't specifically say exactly how that works. I do know that the Consumer Protection Division is involved in that process.
So maybe if there's a big new scam out there that's affecting a lot of people, you guys might be on the front line, so to speak, and you're
Right.
getting some of the initial calls, and you're
Yes.
developing some
Information,
of that.
yes, in our database.
And
That's
then
correct.
the other folks in the Attorney General's office. I even heard that lots of times it's multiple states
Yes,
that are involved in some of these. They get together, they see something's happening, because obviously, phones and the internet and those
Yes.
sorts of things, mail, they cross state lines certainly, and
absolutely.
if someone from California is scamming a bunch of people all across the country, not just happening in Michigan, but get people together and then you pool resources. I'm sure that that's probably helpful.
Absolutely, it is.
as well.
For strength in numbers.
Yeah. So, can you tell us anything else about your division's activities?
One of the other things is that within the Consumer Protection Division as well, we have what's called the Charitable Trust section. And the Charitable Trust section basically deals with or maintains a database of over 6,000 charitable organizations that are licensed and registered to solicit donations here in Michigan. So therefore, if an individual has a question about a charitable organization, they can also contact our office. The other thing that we have is this guide called Wise Charitable Giving, and it gives you some tips about things to look for and questions to ask when dealing with charitable organizations. As a matter of fact, you can even either call us up and find out what the percentage of your donation is that goes towards the program services as opposed to fundraising and administrative costs as well. Or you can go to the website, www.michigan.gov/AG charity search. And you can also find out that information as well. Because today, again, another scam is sound-alike charitable organizations, and there are many sound-alike charitable organizations, and we want to make sure that when individuals are donating monies to various charitable organizations, that they're donating their monies to a charitable organization that's actually where the money's going to go towards those program services and help those with research or so forth that they're using the monies for, that it gets to the right person and the right people as well.
It sounds like, again, like the previous discussion where, You have the really bad people out there who are taking advantage of
Yes.
something. They're pulling at people's heartstrings,
Yes.
or there's some natural disaster or something that's happened, and they set something up, and they're just taking the money and pocketing
Yes.
it and then disappearing somewhere. And then there's the other folks who are, some of them maybe run a very tight ship
Yes.
and do an excellent job of supporting the cause that you're donating to, and
Yes.
then some others don't do as great of a job, and maybe they're more into self-promotion and growing their
Yes.
organization as opposed to truly trying to help that charitable cause.
Yes.
And so as a consumer, you're thinking about, where do I spend my money?
Exactly.
And charitable giving is an extension of that, right? And so just having some information out there to know where your money is going.
Yes. It's very important.
Does your office investigate charitable scams and things like that as well?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And so it would be the same sort of process where you would send a letter to the
Yes.
the group.
Yes.
Oftentimes those groups disappear at that point, or what?
It's kind of like the business that closes their doors and they don't say, if they've moved to another state. Absolutely, they'll conduct an investigation.
It's kind of like they're on to us, and
Yes.
it's time to
Yes.
try something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it's just unfortunate that these con artists and criminals will, use different tactics to try to steal the hard-earned money of those people that have worked for years to save up money and enjoy retirement and so forth as they do. It's very unfortunate.
Well, you think about some of like the natural disasters,
Yes.
and the media is obviously doing a great job of covering them.
Yes.
And so you see what's happening and what's affecting people's, their real lives, and it's heartbreaking, and
It
you want to do
is.
something.
Yes.
And then, you look out there and you can run into some folks who are
Yeah.
up to no good.
Unscrupulous. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we just have a minute left. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about the...
Just basically, again, you can file a complaint with our office if you have an issue with a business that you can't resolve on your own, and just make sure that you don't give out personal information over the telephone, via email, or via letter unless you investigate first. If you initiate a call or if you initiate that contact, then it's okay, but if someone contacts you, be very leery, and my suggestion again would be not to give out that personal information.
Thank you for being on today's show.
Thank you, Senator.
We've been speaking with Ms. Angela Branch, a Departmental Analyst with the Michigan Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division. And we've been talking about consumer protection and ways that people can protect themselves from people who are trying to take their money. And so we've really enjoyed the conversation. This has been another edition of the Hopgood Hour. I'm State Senator Hoon-Yung Hopgood. As always, please feel free to contact my office with any questions or concerns that you may have regarding state government, and thank you for tuning in.